Many of you are surely wondering why I have summoned you this evening. It's come to my attention that late last year, Alan Rickman has released a book. Madly, Deeply, the Diaries of Alan Rickman. So this month's video on Potterhead will be my book review of this very book. I first became aware of this book last December in 2022 when I was visiting my local Barnes & Noble bookstore, and I saw in the newly released section that they have out front at the store that they were selling this book, and I mentioned it to my wife and told her that if she didn't get it for Christmas for my present, that I would buy it myself and end up reading it, because this is the kind of book that I would want to read. So the perfect loving wife that I have, she came through and got me the book for Christmas, and I gotta say I finished it much sooner than I anticipated it. I was planning on doing this book review for next month's video, but here we are. That shows how much of a page turner this was for me. Now, this book should really be for the fans of Alan Rickman and his central performances, whether it's in Die Hard, Harry Potter, Galaxy Quest, or even Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. But even if you're into celebrities and actors, this is the book for you. He really talks about his friends in the acting business, and it's so cool that he had relationships with many, many actors before the Harry Potter movies that he acted with in the Harry Potter movies, like Sean Biggerstaff, Zoe Wanamaker, who else was there? Oh gosh, I'm totally blanking on these. Ralph Fiennes was a big friend of his, and also other actors that he was friends with that weren't in the Harry Potter movies, like Kate Winslet, or who else? Ian McKellen is another big name that he hung around a lot. So it was really cool to see his whole life and what he was able to share and thought significant in his day-to-day life before he became super famous and known for his Harry Potter role, which is how I first became to know him. And it starts out, the diaries, in 1993, and it goes all the way to 2015, just before his death. And it's interesting because the foreword is written by Emma Thompson, who is another actress that he was friends with before the Harry Potter movies that ended up being in the movies with him. So that was really cool having that friendship with her, and just how he maintained his consistent, true self that is expressed in this book, his diaries. His voice is so clear and not just recognizable, but distinct and true throughout the entire book, from the first page to the last page. You really get the sense and vulnerability of this man, and his politics, his personal life, his trivial, just idiosyncrasies and struggles with his house, just one thing after another. He really seems like a normal guy with difficulties and normal challenges in his life that we all face. But it was really cool to see not just what he was like before, during, and after filming Harry Potter, but really what kind of life he lived. I mean, he was an actor through and through. He got his start on the stage acting theatrically and eventually transitioned to film. But I gotta say, it was quite a page turner. Like I said, I finished it before I anticipated it, but I don't think this book will be for everyone. Like I said, it really reads differently than your average novel, because it's not a traditional story in the sense of beginning, middle, end in terms of plot and story. It's just his day-to-day life and comments and what happened to him that day that he thought noteworthy to write down. So starting off reading the book, it really took a while to get into the book, to get a rhythm, but I found that once I got 10 or so pages in reading at a time, that I just didn't want to stop, because you get the cadence and rhythm of how he writes and the voice that is unique to him in this book. And I think that's a real reason why I found him so interesting and so fascinating in this book, was not just singling, I'm not even speaking English words at this point, but just boiling it down to one central character as his identity, Snape. That's primarily who I knew him as. Of course, I saw him in Robin Hood and Die Hard, but Snape is who I associated Alan Rickman with. But there's so much more to this man's life than that one role, even though that's what he's most remembered by. But, besides his politics and, true loyalties to his friends and his wife and dedication to his true vocation in life, which was to be an actor, it really is, it was quite interesting reading this book, because you knew where it got towards the end, where it was all heading to, because unfortunately he died in 2016 of pancreatic cancer. Little tidbit, my grandmother died of pancreatic cancer many years ago, so finding out when he died, that was quite a shock. Not just that he died, but what he died from. But it was interesting because it starts in 1993, his diary, and continues all the way, but I'd say around 2005, 2007-ish, the diary entries become significantly shorter and shorter, to a point where it's almost just a single sentence for a day. And, that could just be because of age, or, his schedule is more demanding. But really, those final years of his life, you could really tell how much it took a toll on him, from how little he wrote and just what he wrote about. Because, for those last years when, he was alive, I didn't know he had pancreatic cancer. That came out after the fact. But just seeing how that affected his life, but how he stayed true to his, if you could call it, normal, I guess, day-to-day living, being an actor, and just the traveling he did. Oh my goodness. I don't know if that's normal for all actors, but very, very familiar with airports and going from country to country. Just the dedication this man gave to his role as an actor was very telling. I'll read a little bit of the inside flap for you guys, but I'll wrap this up quickly to not make it too long a video. So it says, "Madly, deeply is a rare invitation into the mind of Alan Rickman, one of the most magnetic, beloved performers of all time. Running from 1993 to his death in 2016, the diaries provide singular insight into Rickman's public and private life. Reading them is like listening to Rickman chatting to a close companion. Meet Rickman, the consummate professional actor, but also the friend, the traveler, the fan, the director, the enthusiast, in short, the man behind the icon." So it's interesting when you get to the end of his diary, the last days that he wrote before his death, it switches to the appendix. And the appendix for this book are earlier diary entries before 1993, when he was just a normal actor acting on the stage before his film career. So get the precise dates here. So those diary entries run from 1974 to 1982. So that's how early it goes back. And then find it here, final part of the book. My goodness, let's get to it. Sorry, bear with me. This is The Afterword. My goodness, I just wanted to make sure I got the name right. The Afterword was written by his wife, and that was very touching, just to wrap things up from what she had to say about everything, and not exactly knowing if he wanted these published or if that's what he intended all along. But I'm so glad this has been available and released to the public to get an insight on this very impactful actor. Certainly in my life as a huge Harry Potter fan, definitely affected my life with the movies that he was involved with. But this book really has his singular voice. It's very distinct, and I talked about how hard it was getting into starting the reading of this book because of how it's not like a traditional story, just like random diary entries for day after day, but imagining his voice and how it would sound like for writing the diary entries really helped me along reading this book. And like I said, it's not going to be a book for everyone, so I can't recommend this book to everyone, but if you are a fan of his work or like celebrities in general, I cannot talk today. I don't know what it is, but this book would be for you. But it's about 455 pages. I would give it 4 out of 5 stars just because it's not for everyone and it's kind of hard to get into at first. But if you stick with it, really read all the way through, it's worth it, and you'll get something out of it, whether it's his love of acting, his just you finding the fascination in what a life of an actor really is like and how he dealt with the fame of becoming a movie star, his big hit Die Hard, that was his first acting job, if you can believe, which is very impressive. Only went uphill from there. But like I said, I admire his acting in movies so much, and I'm so glad I picked up this book. Madly, Deeply, The Diaries of Alan Rickman. I'm going to stop all my drunken ramblings right now. Just go out, get the book, read it for yourselves, and it will definitely be worth the read if you give it a chance. So that's my book review on Madly, Deeply by Alan Rickman, and hope to see you next month in my video on Potter Tongue. Cheers.